Happening now, a Buffalo firefighter killed in the line of duty is laid to rest. How those in Jamestown are paying their respects. And winter weather is back in the picture. We have the latest first defense forecast. Snow we'll see today. Plus, the final round of a TV cooking show here in Jamestown concludes this weekend. We're hearing exclusively from one of the contestants who has a unique connection to the charitable cause the program benefits.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up. But first, we start with a first defense weather alert as a winter storm warning is in place today for much of our viewing area. Here's some video from downtown Jamestown this morning, just as the snow started to fall. While this winter has been pretty mild, today parts of Chautauqua County, they're in for gusty winds, poor visibility, and snow-covered roads. Chief Weather Forecaster Andrew Stevenson joins us now with more on what we can expect today. Andrew?
Yep, first defense Doppler radar we start off with shows the snow across the region, but across northwestern Pennsylvania it looks like there's some breaks in the snow trying to work in across the region. This widespread snow will continue through the rest of the afternoon. We have a winter storm warning in place for Chautauqua County as well as southern Erie County in Pennsylvania, and this winter storm warning goes until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. For the winter storm warning area, we're looking at anywhere from maybe about 7 to 10 inches of snow, mainly focused across the highest hilltops and the Chautauqua Ridge. There's also a winter weather advisory, and that's in place for the rest of the region, Cattaraugus, Allegheny County, Erie County, and the rest of the region. That winter weather advisory will also go until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. For the winter weather advisory, we're looking at 4 to 6 inches across those areas. So for the rest of the afternoon out there, going to be a cloudy day. Outside of the snow we do have, the snow could be moderate to heavy at times with wind gusts gusting between 20 and 25 miles per hour. That could make for times of low visibility and some difficult travel. The highs today will be in the low to mid 30s. I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. And we remind you to stay up to date with the latest weather by downloading the WNY News Now mobile app. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Well, a group of Jamestown first responders took part in a service honoring a Buffalo firefighter killed in the line of duty. Bronson Rasmussen joins us live from the newsroom with more on what firefighters here in the Pearl City are doing to honor this Buffalo firefighter. Bronson?
Members of the Jamestown Fire and Police Departments traveled to St. Joseph Cathedral in downtown Buffalo this morning to pay the respects for firefighter Jason Arno.
We've got approximately 20 members going to Buffalo tomorrow morning, as well as the police department's going to be sending a group of members with us. We'll stand together in Buffalo, plan on being there around 8:30 in the morning.
Buffalo firefighter Jason Arno was killed last Wednesday while responding to a massive blaze at a theatrical costume shop when a sudden blast sent flames and smoke into the street. Arno was reported missing shortly after crews arrived on scene. The building quickly deteriorated due to the intense heat and flames and collapsing interior. Around 20 members of Jamestown Fire and Police Departments joined together to participate in Friday's funeral service.
When you become a fireman, you really become part of this big family, this brotherhood of firefighters. And when an event such as this happens, everybody comes together in support of not only the family, but our brothers and sisters in the Buffalo Fire Department. And everyone just wants to show our support and be there for them.
For the lieutenant, just being in Buffalo to show support matters.
It's hard to put something like that into words. I hope that the Jamestown Fire Department doesn't have to ever go through this, but I do know that if something were to ever happen, that our brothers and sisters around the world have our backs. It means a lot.
Thousands of people have turned out for the funeral service, many of whom were first responders from across the country and region. Now firefighter Arno will be laid to rest at Forest Lawn Cemetery during a private family ceremony. Arno is survived by his wife Sarah and their young daughter Olivia. Reporting live in the newsroom, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
A 21-year-old Jamestown resident is accused of failing to pay his cab fare before turning himself into police on an outstanding arrest warrant. On Thursday, Andrew Weber turned himself into officers with Jamestown Police for an arrest warrant issued by city court. However, before turning himself into the City Hall station, Weber had called a local cab company to arrange transport from an address outside the city to JPD's headquarters. As Weber was being taken into custody on his warrants, it was found that he allegedly tried to evade a local cab driver whom he failed to pay. Additional charges of theft of services for failing to pay for that fare while trying to turn himself in on warrants have been issued. A Jamestown man wanted by 3 different police departments for various crimes was arrested this week during a traffic stop. Officers with Jamestown Police Department took Paul Briggs into custody following the stop near 40 Halleck Street in the city of Jamestown Wednesday. The 38-year-old had several outstanding warrants seeking arrest from Jamestown's City Court, Lakewood Bustite Police, and officers in Warren, Pennsylvania. Police also said they recovered 3 different controlled substances with a quantity of pills, methamphetamine on his possession, which they said was hidden inside of his pants. Briggs now faces several felony drug and fugitive from justice charges. Now, a further investigation also allegedly discovered cocaine inside of a passenger in that vehicle. Ryan English, the 30-year-old Warren, Pennsylvania man, was also arrested. Well, funding to further redevelopment of a historic northern Chautauqua County inn is coming together. The Chautauqua Region Economic Development Corporation has approved a community development block grant agreement with the new owner of the White Inn. Last year, local businesses Steve St. George and restaurant partner Devin Jones announced they plan to purchase the White Inn and restore the iconic structure as a hotel, restaurant, bar, and event space. The new owner of this historic Village of Fredonia icon hopes to secure the $180,000 grant to assist in purchasing startup equipment and other related costs for this project. Now, state funding is also expected. In total, the project will cost around $4 million of private and public money. As a result of renovation and subsequent operation, the White Inn is expected to hire around a dozen full-time employees. Well, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, they're reminding people of the state's burn ban, which will go into effect on March 16th. The burn ban runs from March 16th through May 14th. It's a time of the year when it can be windy. The ground is often dry and, well, things can catch fire easily. The DEC says during this time, bonfires, open fires, trash, or debris, they're not allowed due to the risk of starting a brush fire or field fire. However, there are exemptions for small cooking fires, bonfires, and campfires. The DEC says people who violate the burn ban rules will be charged with a minimum fine of $500. As WNY News Now continues, we're hearing from brain injury advocates who are seeking a funding increase for a continuum of care plan. And later on, with more on the fatal concert stampede in Rochester, which has now claimed a 3rd life.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Have you ever wanted to live out your dreams? Hunt, fish, in all corners of the earth? Well, now's your chance. Follow Primitive Patriot Outdoors as we live out our dreams and show you how to live out yours through outdoor adventures. From Western New York to Africa to all corners of the earth, follow us on this adventure. It's an experience you've never seen before. Lead and Lures, Roku TV, Channel 716.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you. So you think you can cook? Chefs test their skills, competing in a charity cooking show competition that features a platter of unusual ingredients, including popular local cuisine.
Fries.
Judged by a panel of local celebs, So You Think You Can Cook, produced by Channel 716, all proceeds raised to benefit the St. Susan Center in Jamestown, New York.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Some brain injury advocates, they're calling on New York state lawmakers to increase funding for a continuum of care plan. Our New York Capitol correspondent Elise Klein spoke to lawmakers and physicians about the issue.
In 2020, Kara Moran tested positive for COVID-19. She was later diagnosed with encephalitis, an inflammatory brain injury that can be caused by viral infections, making this Moran's third brain injury in her lifetime. She says her symptoms from the encephalitis made it hard for her to find long-term care resources. She says she would sometimes cry from frustration, not being able to remember from 5 seconds to the next.
I was lost. I was just so out of the world, and I wasn't used to doing it, and especially with a brain injury, you can't do it.
Moran, along with other advocates, are calling on lawmakers to fund continuum of care for brain injury survivors. She says survivors need the funding to expand information and resources. Some lawmakers are hopeful this funding will pass through the state budget. They are also taking policy steps to address the management of brain injuries. Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel sponsors a bill recently introduced in the Senate intending to update concussion management and response protocols in schools. The bill also intends to increase concussion data collection and reporting.
In some cases, this legislation is a matter of life or death, or potentially long-term disability for some very young folks who are extremely vulnerable, whose brains are just developing. We need to do everything as government, as parents, as school officials, to make sure they're safeguarded.
Some sports medicine physicians say concussions can be very challenging to deal with and requires a team effort.
I really do think it's important for what this bill is trying to accomplish, because ultimately we don't want to see bad things happen to these kids, both in the short and in the long term.
In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
A third person has died after being injured in a stampede after a weekend concert by rapper Gorilla in Rochester. The Syracuse woman was the only person who remained hospitalized following a Sunday evening performance at the Rochester Main Street Armory. She died Wednesday night. 2 other women also died, and several people were injured after being caught up in a rush of concert goers who surged towards the exits after the show. Police say the stampede may have been triggered by unfounded fear of gunfire. The city has now refused to renew the venue's entertainment license on Wednesday, effectively shutting it down while criminal and regulatory investigation is underway. And a federal court judge has issued a temporary order on Thursday to immediately halt 10 gun distributors from selling or shipping gun parts and kits to New York. The types of materials officials say can be used to build untraceable ghost guns, which could then be sold without background checks, eventually ending up in the wrong hands. The order comes after State Attorney General Letitia James filed a lawsuit against distributors in June in a state Supreme Court in Manhattan. The court order temporarily blocks the gun sellers from shipping or selling unfinished frames or receivers, which oftentimes don't have their serial number quite yet, meaning they're not registered and hard to trace. The lawsuit was originally filed under a state law that allows New York to target gun makers and public nuisances. Well, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro proposed an increase to education spending in his budget address this week. Shapiro wants to increase funding for daily school operations by $567 million. He also proposed $400 million for mental health services, violence prevention, special education, and addressing environmental hazards in schools. However, advocates and petitioners who recently won the fair funding trial in the Commonwealth court system says the budget fails to address fair funding within the formula. They would have liked to see a bit more out of the budget, especially for the Level Up initiative, which provides additional dollars to the 100 poorest school districts.
We really need to close those gaps, those inequitable inequitable status quo in order to ensure that our lowest wealth districts are receiving the funding they desperately need to meet the needs of their students.
Shapiro agrees the current funding system is unacceptable and said both parties in the General Assembly need to come together to address it. He says the budget is a starting point and lays the groundwork for a new formula, possibly in upcoming budgets. Well, Senate Democrats and Republicans in D.C., they grilled the CEO of Norfolk Southern on Thursday during a hearing on the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. The train was carrying hazardous chemicals, and since the derailment, people who live nearby, they're concerned about long-term health and cleanup efforts. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp has more.
Will you commit that Norfolk Southern will be there for as long as it takes to make East Palestine, Ohio, Darlington Township in Pennsylvania, and the surrounding communities whole from this disaster, yes or no?
I understand that concern. That's the same concern that is shared with me by the residents of East Palestine and Darlington Township. I'm terribly sorry for the impact this derailment has had on the folks of that community. And yes, it's my personal commitment and Norfolk Southern's commitment that we're going to be there for as long as it takes to help East Palestine thrive and recover.
During this roughly 2-hour Senate hearing, Alan Shaw, the CEO of Norfolk Southern, continued to apologize for the train derailment near the Pennsylvania-Ohio border nearly a month ago. Although Senator John Fetterman is still getting treatment in a hospital for depression, he demanded Shaw to answer some of his own questions, like why was Pennsylvania Department of Emergency Management and the state's Environment Department contacted hours after the derailment, and if there is a process in place to contact state agencies if a derailment occurs.
The process that's established is part of the Department of Homeland Security presidential directive that was established in 2003. My understanding is Norfolk Southern immediately contacted the National Response Center, which then contacted applicable federal, state, and local authorities.
Ohio's EPA testified there were gaps in communication within the first couple of days between responding agencies and Norfolk Southern.
Things could have been handled better in the beginning hours.
At the Capitol, Rachel Knapp reporting.
Rachel, thank you. Senators say the lack of communication or those communication gaps led to a lot of the distrust within communities impacted by the derailment. Officials did say that communication has cleared up between all parties following the crash. Well, coming up, we meet two new furry friends who are up for adoption as our pets of the week. Kind of a double bonus here. And later, look ahead to the final So You Think You Can Cook competition. It's happening at the St. Susan Center this weekend. We hear from one of the chefs who previously took part and their connection to this vital community. But first, Andrew comes back with a full look at our weather forecast. As winter weather, well, over Chautauqua Lake, it looks like it's a blizzard out there. He'll have details on how long this snow is sticking around.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Has been quite the experience.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key.
Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community. Stories that you can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Currently in downtown Jamestown, we got some light snow falling out there. The current temperature is 30 degrees at the airport with an east wind of 10 miles per hour. The visibility at the airport with the snow and the breeze is down to a half a mile, and then the wind chill is 21. Feels like 21 out there. I wanted to show you this photo yesterday of the deer crossing the road heading into Lakeview Cemetery. You got the one deer standing in the middle of the road. He's just wanting to go in the cemetery, waiting for his friend who's on the sidewalk on the other side, and he's just ready for his close-up on the camera. He's like trying to tell his buddy there, come on, let's get out of the road. And he's like, no, I want my close-up. So he's just standing on the sidewalk staring at the camera. Here's what's happening across the Northeast right now. We got low pressure drifting across Ohio. That's going to continue to drift across the region, across Pennsylvania, and that's providing this widespread snow we got across the area today and heading into night. So let's time it out on Future Scan. Widespread snow will continue through the rest of the afternoon and into the early evening hours, maybe moderate to heavy at times, but as that system continues to push out of the region, the snow will taper off as we head into tonight, leading to lake effect snow showers setting up tonight and into the early day tomorrow, mainly across the Chautauqua Ridge and the highest hilltops just inland from Lake Erie. And then that lake effect snow will taper off through the day tomorrow, with the afternoon being mainly dry, although there will be plenty of clouds around for the rest of the afternoon. But high pressure will build in tomorrow into tomorrow night, and we should have some sunshine to start today on Sunday, and then some more snow showers will return by Sunday afternoon. So here's a look at snowfall totals through Sunday morning. This includes the lake effect that we're going to get later tonight. Snowfall totals may be about 4 to 8 inches across the southern tier, and then upwards of 7 to 10 inches right across the Chautauqua Ridge and the highest hilltops, with some areas, maybe around Mayville, getting over 10 inches of snow possible. Here's another reminder to spring forward those clocks before you go to bed tomorrow night. So when you wake up Sunday morning, the new sunrise will be at 7:34 a.m. The new sunset Sunday night will be at 7:19 p.m. And also don't forget to check and change those batteries in your smoke detectors. And now the next 7 days, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. We're kind of in a winter weather pattern now. After this storm system moves through, we have a brief break in the snow Saturday into Sunday, and then we're watching another system, couple of systems heading into next week that could once again bring in another round of rain and snow to the region. But the good news is, by the end of next week, it looks like things dry out and temperatures return back to the lower 40s by next Thursday.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. Well, in an effort to help our furry friends find a forever home, we're partnered with the Chautauqua County Humane Society for our Pet of the Week segment. Brian Papalea has more on this week's featured furry friends.
Hey Justin, Brian Papalea here at the Chautauqua County Humane Society in the Foster office, and I'm going to introduce you to two cats. First, we have Daisy. Daisy has been with us since July of 2020. She came from a home in Dunkirk where there were 83 other cats. So yes, she does get along with other cats, but I should say other cat, because this is Val. Val is her best friend for life, I should say. They had been living in this office together for almost a year. Yeah, March 18th, it'll be a year. And like I said, Daisy has been with us since July of 2020, and then Val has been with us since, oh, there she goes. Val has been with us since 2022. So if you are looking for a pair of cats to add some love to your house, find more about them at chqhumane.org. Also, don't forget Pangs for Paws going on right now. You can find out more there as well. And right now we have a couple of generous donors that are matching online donations through the Pennies for Paws portal. So we're very grateful for that. Thank you to all you guys at Western New York News Now, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. If you want to adopt either one of these cuties, again, it's chqhumane.org to learn more information, and then you can set up a time to meet them in person. Well, coming up next, the final filming of So You Think You Can Cook. It's happening this weekend. We're taking a look at what the show's publicity is doing for those at the St. Susan Center.
5 minutes. It's under 5.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
So you think you can cook? Chefs test their skills, competing in a charity cooking show competition that features a platter of unusual ingredients, including popular local cuisine.
Davison's fish fry with some French fries.
Judged by a panel of local celebs, So You Think You Can Cook, produced by Channel 716, all proceeds raised to benefit the St. Susan Center in Jamestown, New York.
WNY News Now is covering stories that matter to you.
Police and other local law enforcement agencies are looking for the person responsible for a shooting.
One of the benefits of this new feature is it not only works with the newer parking meters that the city's been rolling out, but these traditional meters as well.
From muddy trails to slick cliff edges to structures that have fallen into disrepair, these are just some of the problems that this park faces.
WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
If you're looking to support the St. Susan Center, you have one more chance to take part in their annual So You Think You Can Cook competition. The final round of the fundraising event will be held this Saturday at 5:30 at the St. Susan Center, where 3 chefs will create an appetizer and an entree using mystery ingredients. Julia Gress has more.
First-round competitor and kitchen manager at the St. Susan Center, Camille Hognett, says participating in So You Think You Can Cook was just like creating menus for the center.
I plan the menus out for 2 weeks out at a time, according to what we have on hand. But we have so many great, fabulous donations that come in, it's always subject to change.
For Hognett, raising awareness about demand at the center will allow her to continue serving the community by gaining donations and volunteers.
I always talk about passion meets purpose. You know, my purpose, I feel, is to serve, and my passion is cooking, so I just enjoy it, I love it, and this is my dream job.
Executive Director Sherry Rowland says filming a TV show during the fundraising event has been an exciting way to spread awareness.
The audience gets involved in the production of the show. The cooks, of course, are right there in the show, just living it up. And it has been so much fun, and we've really enjoyed 716 here at St. Susan's.
In addition to high-quality meals, good conversation is just as important.
Lots of times people don't know the other services that we have here. So we have the tables where people come and they do the outreach to the homeless, let them know about Chautauqua opportunities. So we're getting every business in the community involved and letting them know how we can help, how we can serve and give back.
Those attending the last round should expect an entertaining evening with knowledgeable judges for only a $15 donation at the door.
And they're giving great descriptions of the food because us in the audience don't get to test their masterpieces. But we do get to test their soups. So in the audience, we get to vote on one of the special soups that our 3 chefs bring in each night, along with, I'm partial to St. Susan's Center's soup.
Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Julia, thank you. So You Think You Can Cook. It premieres on Channel 716 streaming network starting April 1st. You can view it on channel716.com and download the app on Roku today. Certainly a lot of fun there, and it's such a pleasure to be able to be a part of this and support the St. Susan Center, who's filling such an immediate need right now here in the city of Jamestown. And I also wanted to take a moment and just thank our reporter Julia Gress, who is actually moving on to a Buffalo television station. So this is one of Julia's last reports with us. But we thank you so much for your time and for sharing these awesome stories here in Jamestown. Well, that is going to do it for us today. We'll leave you with this live look outside of our studio here in downtown Jamestown. The news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com.